Well, the weather for the whole of the south of England will continue as it has for the next few weeks. It's going to be hot and moist, with temperatures rising steadily as time goes on. There's a chance of steamy moments as we move into the... sod it. We never wanted to do this. We never wanted to be weathermen and women making innuendos about hot atmospheres and drizzly countries. We didn't want to be child-friendly. We didn't want to bang on about being for over 18s only. We want to talk about our sexy adventures. We want to be lifestylers, leaping from bush to bush as we sail down the rivers of British sex clubs and mountains of crazy experiences. The cheeky purple mamba, the liquid silk pumped liberally into our hand, the rodeo classic brief harness complete with Tantus curve, the Enjoy Pure One stainless steel dildo, the hot octopus digit, the ever so short messages on Fab Swingers, the sexy friends on Twitter, and the mighty vanilla alternative. With my best girlie by my side, we'd swing, swing, swing.
Get in the gym or to your car. With our advice, you could go far. We fuck things up and we make mistakes. And talk about our sexy dates. It's getting hard for this to rhyme. Just as well, 'cause it's bed hopping time.
Hello and welcome to the Bed Hoppers podcast. My name is Mr. H.
I'm Mrs. H.
Thank you for joining us today. With us, we have some incredible special guests.
You've really, really bigged that up.
I've ramped them up. They are here to talk about a very specialist topic.
Well, okay. Yes, it is a very specialist topic.
Okay. There's lots of teasing going on in this episode.
I know.
I'm very, very excited.
We're really excited.
So what are we talking about today?
We are going to try and unpack the huge topic of vulvas.
Vulvas, vaginas, lady flaps.
Lady gardens.
Lady flaps.
Flaps, clams, bearded clams, you name it.
All the words, basically.
Yeah, all the words. This is going to be an hour of words. All our favourite words.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
With us on the show today, we have the incredible Vanilla Ice. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. We've got the delightful Secret Vixen.
She's smiling.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
smiling.
you.
I forgot I have to speak.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's going to be a great hour, isn't it?
This is going to be fun. And we've got the delightfully naughty Clip Bang with us.
Hello.
There we go. She's looking naughty already. This is terrible. How are we going to cope with this?
How
my
are
face.
you going to spend the next hour being quiet? I want to know.
Well, I'm not going to stick around on this. I'm going to remain quiet so that you all can have a chat. What I noticed already is that one of them has chimed up and said that you did not say the word that everyone would expect you to say. About
What, me?
Yes.
Oh, that word.
That word.
The word that shall not be named.
Yes, you've got to say it in order to make me disappear for this episode. This is like, getting the audience
Like
to
a
shout
reverse
at a panto.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah. You got to say it 3 times and
yes,
I'll let you
that's
take the
right.
show.
And it'd be worse if it was
Really
Candyman.
enjoy it.
I'd have to say 5
gone
times.
3.
wouldn't I?
And you've got to say it in 3 different ways.
I'm not saying it
Yep.
3 times. I'm not saying it 3 times.
I'm going to be here the whole time unless you do it.
Wouldn't it be better if all 4 of us said it once? Not at the same time,
Oh,
though.
so you get 4 times.
Well,
Yeah.
what I would suggest is that you all say it individually so that everyone gets a
Can I
sense
just
of...
say, I'm really not offended by this word.
No,
I'm not offended either.
neither.
I just don't like it.
I just want people to say it.
You disgust me.
I discussed everyone. That's the thing.
Fine. Like some hideous reverse Beetlejuice, we will say it for you.
Oh, please do.
Shall I start it?
Yeah,
we can do it in a round.
Well, you can take control now since I will be disappearing magically.
Do you want us all to do it in a different tone?
Yes,
Like,
that would
pussy, pussy, pussy. All right, I'm going to say it. Pussy.
Let's
All right,
see.
you happy with that? All right, so Click Bang, we've got Pussy, Secret Vixen,
Pussy.
Vanilla Ice. Are you happy with the collective pussies in the room now? He's happy, he's nodding. So he's going to attempt to stay quiet for the next hour, which is going to be a minor miracle. If you insist on standing in front of me and just showing me your willy for an hour, it's not going to be possible. But now he's just raising eyebrows at me.
Because we
You
would
just
also
set him
like to see it.
All right, I think at this stage he's letting me drive, so
Excellent.
we're in safe hands for next hour, ladies. So we have brought you all here today. We're going to have a little chat, and what I wanted to do was just have a little round table discussion about a subject that's kind of been on my mind for a long time. And I think it's fair to say that some things have kind of triggered me recently with wanting to explore this a little bit more. Part of that is because we now have quite a lot of interaction with the folks on Twitter, and we've obviously been in my lifestyle since 2016 now. So we've had quite a few years of being in a very different lifestyle. So it's kind of like come back to the fore for me, and I've really sort of given it some thought around why it still bothers me. So I should probably talk a little bit about what bothers me specifically. So I'm talking about the imagery, I think, that's perpetuated through media and stereotypes around how vulvas should look and how your vulva looks and what you think about it. That is a very broad topic. So for me, this stems back to probably childhood quite early on. And I didn't really think about it when I was growing up, because obviously you kind of go through puberty and you grow up and you know kind of what your bits and pieces are, and you kind of explore them in your own way. Didn't really think about it until I became sexually active, maybe in my teens. And at that point, it became quite apparent to me that I think I had a lot more stuff down there going on than I probably had seen maybe in references to kind of biology and what I thought something might look like compared to what I actually had. That makes me sound a little bit like a freak show. I'm not. It's just I was clearly in possession of more stuff down there than I think I was expecting as I grew up and I kind of went through puberty. So I do vividly recall in my teens having a boyfriend who lovingly referred, and it wasn't loving, he referred to things as hanging hams and beef curtains.
Oh,
I know. And when you're a teenager and when you're kind of growing up and you hear this kind of terminology, it can be quite damaging, obviously, and you kind of left with this hangover of, oh crikey, am I some kind of freak, or is this kind of the norm? Now, as I've gone on through life, obviously I've met a wonderful man, and we've had a lovely life together, very happily married, and he's helped me learn to love my vulva, which is fantastic. But actually now going into this lifestyle, it's become apparent to me, being up close and personal with other vulvas. Once again, those insecurities have kind of surfaced for me, because I found myself, the first question I was asking Mr. H when we did start playing with other ladies was, but how was it? How did it look compared to me? And I couldn't help but try and normalize myself. And I'm constantly searching for this definition of something normal, but I don't know what normal looks like. So it's kind of left me a bit scarred and a bit worried, to the point that I actually considered labiaplasty at one point. So before I kind of go into that, because I've prattled on quite a bit, that's kind of where I'm coming from with this episode today. And I want to talk to you lovely ladies, because you're all very dear to me. I know you all really well. And I kind of just wanted some thoughts and opinions and how you all see, this kind of the porn imagery that's kind of fed through our media and what we think about that. Cool.
So,
yeah,
what I would like to say is that before anything else, I think we need to really take a minute to recognise how dangerous the power of words can be, how a throwaway comment has affected you your entire life, and how actually educating our children of all genders and educating them to think before they speak, but also to accept that there are as many different penises or vaginas or vulvas or testicles as there are faces.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we don't talk about enough, because I think we all, again, I speak for myself, I all assumed everyone looked the same as mine until I came across others. And I think that's because it was never discussed. And why would it have been? But actually, from the sounds of what's been your experience and what has become a big issue, maybe we need to have those awkward conversations so that the people we're bringing up know that things are different, and know that it's not okay to say something derogatory or funny, in inverted commas, about something that actually could be really personal. is really personal.
It is,
Yeah.
and I wonder where that teenage boy got that perception all those years ago that what I did actually possess was something that was freakishly large, or where did he get that beef curtains from? Because he must have got that, I guess, from seeing that porn gives you a certain image and then realizing that someone he had seen in the flesh wasn't that living up to that expectation.
But that also comes from limited experience as well. I think as we've talked about, I had done some research for this and had gone and put 13 paragraphs down, and when asking Mr. Sprite what his opinion was of different vulvas, to paraphrase, it was never given it any thought and has had plenty of poontang, which is, the more you see, the more you realise that they are all different, and it becomes less of an issue. So I think certainly if from a teenage boy perspective, presumably they have had limited exposure to differences in people's bodies, and that doesn't make what they're saying okay, but it means it comes from a position of ignorance more than anything else. Picking up on what Vanilla Ice said as well about having those difficult conversations, body image is a really prevalent issue in my house at the moment because of child issues and things like that, and that is one of the difficult conversations that we have had recently, that people's genitals do look different and people's bodies do look different, and that it's all okay. And I had a really useful conversation with one of my teenage children about vulvas this week, and about how it's perfectly okay to look at yours and to look at others and to think that they're different, and to give imagery that you see in mainstream porn the same recognition that you would give imagery that you see in mainstream magazines or Instagram. It's very much an idealized view, and it doesn't represent the majority of people.
No, you're right. And I think I had this conversation with Mr. H recently on a podcast. Fleetingly, we talked about watching Naked Attraction, one of our favourite pastimes. Great. However, it really rattled us because obviously what the presenter was talking about as the boxes lifted and revealed all the parts, was that some of the ladies possessed a very neat vagina, and she used this terminology, it's a neat vagina. And we were like, here we go again. I'm going to move to Secret Vixen because I can see she's got some stuff to say.
We're sort of just going back to the comment might have come from a place of ignorance, because, we think of that being sort of a male thing, but I'm going to put my hand up. It was only sort of in my adulthood that I even realised. And funnily enough, you mentioned Naked Attraction. It was actually for me, Naked Attraction, where I remember watching it. I think I was at uni possibly, and it was a very drunken evening. I'd come home and I put it on. And I remember watching it and I saw the box rise and I was just like, hang on a second, they all look different. And I genuinely, hand on heart, I didn't know, because it wasn't an open dialogue sort of in my house growing up. We certainly didn't speak about it. I mean, yes, we had sex ed lessons at school and things, but you certainly never mentioned the appearance. We spoke about the anatomy, but how it actually physically looks wasn't ever discussed. So I think there is a real ignorance both for men but also for women as well.
Vanilla Ice, you've got some on your mind.
I agree. And do you know, so I really like Anna Richardson, the presenter of the British Naked Attraction. I have a lot of time for her. I have a lot of respect for her. She did a great series of programs called the Sex Ed Show, education show. And as part of that, she went round and she spoke to teens and she spoke to other people. And she did what we are discussing now, talked about how different things were and how, do you know what, guys, females, you don't need to worry about what your vulva looks like, this, that, and the other. And I felt really disappointed when I heard her go for the cliche, "Oh, that's a neat vagina," in Naked Attraction. Now, I suspect that's because that's colloquial, so I put my teeth back in. I suspect that's because actually that's the kind of thing that is expected she would say as a presenter on that kind of programme. But I had her on a higher pedestal for body image, and I was disappointed that was something she came out with.
Yeah, I agree. I cringed inwardly when I heard it. And Clipbang, I'm going to come to you in a second because I can see you've got your finger on your nose. A sign of talking. And I cringed because I thought this is exactly why people like myself end up in the position where the body dysmorphia becomes a reality, because you're drip fed these images that porn perpetuates these myths that this is what people want to see. And, very recently, I put this out on Twitter as a little trailblazer, I want to talk about this. And someone did comment and put quite a derogatory comment on my post saying, well, actually, yeah, I like to see a very neat one, and I don't like to see the hanging down lips and what have you. And I was like, here we go. This is why I feel like this. And this is no wonder. This is why labiaplasty as a plastic surgery procedure has risen. Girls as young as 9 years old apparently are approaching their doctors and approaching cosmetic surgery routes because they want to look what they think is normal. So, Clipbang, we'll come to you because I know you had something to say.
Yeah, so I had a couple of things that had come to mind there. So part of it is about the language that is used about people's bodies in general. The perception of saying something is neat and tidy as opposed to something is, whatever you're going to perceive as the opposite of that, is instantly putting a negative on anything that doesn't fit into that box, for want of a better word.
Great pun there.
Thank you. That's the only one I've got in me tonight.
Poor Mr. H, if he was ever going to pipe up now is the time. He's in the corner like, no.
But again, that's like something that has been a body issue for me for a long time is kind of the language around being fat and being overweight and stuff. And it shouldn't be derogatory to be able to point out that this shape is that shape. Like the weight that we put on to something to say tidy is good and I don't know, untidy is bad, thin is good, fat is bad. There's so much power in those words, and really there is no truth in it. And it's something that has taken a long time for me to talk through about fat phobia and realize that having fat doesn't negate your value as a person. Having a vagina with longer inner labia does not negate your value as a person. But it is language that we're socialized to hearing these good words and bad words and applying them to different elements of people's bodies. And it's shit, frankly.
Sums it up nicely.
It's so it's nonsensical. They're just words. But yes, we are societally kind of driven to thinking that there are certain ones that are good to be applied to you and ones that are bad. The other thing I was thinking of as well from what Vixen was saying, I think I'm not a straight woman, so this is coming from a position of not necessarily knowing, but I feel like straight women probably are really at risk of feeling like they have unusual vulvas, because I see a lot. I'm
How many have you seen today?
Oh, so many. I'm extremely fortunate to see many different labias and many different vulvas and enjoy the whole range available and realise that whatever mine looks like, they all look different. There is a whole paint, like those little things with the paint swatches on of vaginas, and that's but if you aren't exposed to that and the only views you see of other people's vulvas are in porn or I don't know, perhaps in a biological textbook or something, you are programmed to believe that there's two little lips and that's it, and there's nothing else around that. And I think that must be quite isolating if you don't have a group of people like this to talk about it with.
I agree. Vanilla Ice, what did you want to say?
So a couple of things. Absolutely. Bank, completely agree with what you've just said. I asked some friends on an online group, their thoughts, about their labour parts and what they thought and stuff. And actually, to go to what you've just said, there is a friend of mine who replied, and she said, I didn't realise there were different types. I didn't realise that this is a woman in a straight relationship. I didn't realise that, mine weren't the textbook pretty. And I said to her, okay, well, how do you feel now you do know that? She's like embarrassed about, if I get a new partner. She's not. She's split up from her husband. And that just made me feel really sad. She's a confident woman in her, I hope if you're listening to this, I haven't got this wrong, but early 40s. And I just thought, oh, that's really sad. So, but going back to the naked attraction and the comments about, oh, neat vagina or whatever, and oh, this is what we see. Yes, but also no, because as Vixen has just said, we are seeing all the different types. So yes, Anna Richardson might say, oh, that's a neat vagina. And that choice of words is, as we've said, is discussable. But we're not just seeing that. We are seeing all the different types. And Vixen, for example, was able to see it and go, okay, oh, I see, there are different types. And, for our children, if that's the kind of thing that they're watching at some point, I think that that's a much less harmful place to be learning about things, even if the word neat are used. And like Dan said, maybe it is neat as in tucked away, and maybe neat isn't a bad thing in as much as saying that person's bigger than that other person, talking about weight or something, because it's that person is blonder than that person, and it's just that we've put these huge expectations on it. And finally, before I shut up for a minute, another thing I was thinking is, I don't think it's wrong to have preferences. I think that if we're honest, we all, when looking for a partner or looking for ourselves and things, if you're actually honest, there are different things about different people you find attractive. If it, I really like shorter hair, I'm talking on the head, or down below. I like, boobs like this. I like an hourglass figure. I like a slimmer person. I like this. Or, look at this person's penis. It's really small, or it's, we might look at a picture that's been sent to us and we have been known, and, hands up, it's not cool. But when we have had the unexpected dick pic and it has been of a surprising nature, we have been known to share it with each other. And that's awful. But then I can't be double standards and say, now I don't think I ever have looked at a picture of the vulva and shared it with one of you guys and gone, oh my gosh, look at that.
Mm-mm.
I have done with unexpected dick pics. And what's that? That's awful. And so I cannot be sitting here claiming to be, righteous and everything, I do everything right, because we do have preferences about every single thing. And I don't think we're honest if we say that we don't.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I do agree with what you're saying. It opens a whole nother debate around penises, maybe. Maybe we'll leave that for us to make sure penis chat.
Is that, okay, put penis to the side. We have preferences of what things might look like on ourselves or on other people. And if we say that we don't, I don't think we're being honest. That doesn't mean that we ever body shame someone. We shouldn't. We shouldn't, even if it's what we might look at and go, ooh, that's surprising, or, oh, I've never come across that in my experience. About anything, you take a breath and you think, hang on a minute, if I was a 15-year-old hearing this, am I going to be mid-40s, still worrying about it, asking my husband, do I match up? Do I, you've got to think about what comes out of your mouth versus what might go on in your head.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would ever be brave enough to share a picture of my vulva with other people.
Why, if you don't want to, you don't have to. That's the thing, isn't it?
No, but years of people or imagery telling me that it's not what people want to see has probably stopped that anyway. I'm going to move to Clipbang real quick because I can see she's got something to say.
Oh, well, I think just leading on from the not showing your vulva as well, not showing a picture, I think all of us here are quite discreet about that in our swinging lives. Those aren't pictures that we put out in our media. And like again, as Vanilla Ice was saying, like it's quite easy to see an unsolicited dick pic and be like, all right, I'm going to make a judgment on this, and we shouldn't. And similarly, I think part of the reason that I certainly wouldn't be putting pictures of my vulva out would be to receive the same potential responses back. But also, it is, I don't know, it feels far more intimate than a lot of the stuff that us as a group would be talking about on our social medias and things like that. The other thing that keeps coming up to me when I think about people in our kind of position and talking about this conversation is that, so we've said that, despite the fact that Vixen didn't see more vulvas until Channel 4 came on, we do as a group get exposed to more vulvas than most people do. So we see more different types of people in clubs or at meets or whatever. There's a predisposition in the lifestyle for people to be shaved or to be hairless down below. I think that impacts on how people perceive their vulva, because I think when it was much more common for people to have pubic hair or lots of pubic hair, this conversation wouldn't have happened because you don't see that. But in our lifestyle, obviously, most people do shave there and there, so it's much more obvious what people are packing.
It's a brilliant comment, and it's actually one of the questions I was going to ask all of you anyway. Moving on a little bit further into the chat, I was going to ask you all your opinion of hair or nair down there. Interestingly, I've completely refused all the way through. Not only my normal adult life and our lifestyle, I've refused to get rid of it all completely. Now, in part, if I'm completely honest, partly because I do have some hang-ups about all of it. And actually removing all the hair draws attention even more to the insecurities that I probably have. And I think actually some hair probably just helps aesthetically for me. That's just my preference. And it's my preference to actually see it on people as well in a small, neat capacity. I'm very good with a neat. But I obviously don't want some like massive microphone bush going on. But as a preference, and again, as a preference, it is just, I like people to look normal, like people have hair, deal with it. That's just me. However, and I understand that, you can't yuck someone's yum, and lots of people like to have like nothing at all there. So you've actually already taken my question and opened it up now, which is I'm glad you did, because this is cool. Secret Vixen's been way too quiet, and she thinks she's got off lightly, and she has not. I've been staring at her in the bottom of my Zoom. I'm going to put her on the spot in a minute. Secret Vixen, what are your thoughts? Because you have a slightly different dynamic to some of us, perhaps because you are in a hot wife kind of play style.
Yeah.
So you're in the position where I suppose more people will kind of see you, and you may not come into contact so much and see so many other ladies and vulvas and what have you. So how did you feel the first time you saw someone else's vulva?
And funnily enough, actually, I thought this question might come up, and I was talking to Stag about it because he was saying, in your limited experience of close-up encounters with women's vulvas, he was like, what did you notice? And he's like, did you notice anything? And I said, honestly, hand on heart, I couldn't describe to you anything about them, literally the formation or anything. But when he asked me the same question regarding like a penis, I can remember quite vividly.
I'm sure he's pleased about that.
he was thrilled. But like sort of size, girth, etc. But I was sort of sitting there going, I really couldn't tell you anything about the ladies' vulvas. It just didn't sort of register with me when I was sort of exploring that, oh, that looks like this, that looks like that. It didn't register with me. And I don't know why. But I couldn't re-describe to you what one lady's was like and what another one's was in my very, very limited experience. I don't know if it's not because my brain's just not programmed to pay as close attention to other women's vulvas, but more so penises, it would appear. Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. And secondly, what do you think about the hair situation then? Do you feel obligated to remove it because you're now encountering your balls? And
I agree. I'm very much sort of like you. My personal preference is I do like to have a bit of hair. And again, I think it is because of insecurities about what it is like down there. And as you say, it's almost like you can hide it a little bit. You've got that sort of safety. So for me personally, I do like to have a little bit of hair just because of, I don't know, it makes me sometimes think, oh, I feel like a teenager, like a young girl. I don't know, for me, I have, and again, this is probably wrong. I just have connotations of sort of being a very young child when there's no hair down there. Mm-hmm. And like having children myself, I think that, yeah, when I have sort of seen pictures of completely hairless, it makes me sort of think, oh, a child, but I know that isn't what it should do.
No,
but I think it's because of having a daughter myself, I associate a clean, clean shaven with child. And I've actually had that conversation with friends before, and it was funny enough that a lot of us did sort of say the same, that we wouldn't go hairless for that same sort of reason. And again, that's probably wrong. Like, why should we sort of feel bad about sort of removing hair?
Again, it's porn. And, you know, I say porn loosely, but, you know, what you see kind of in the media, social media porn, that kind of thing, it does present to you this image, again, rightly or wrongly, of hairless, all tucked away, like minimal fuss kind of going on. Clipbang, I'm going to come to you quickly because I can see you're desperate to say something.
I'm always desperate to say something.
How many paragraphs have you got through so far? At least 7.
About half.
Oh God! All right.
Well, so I had 2 points. The first one being on the hair situation. In that, so I, as an adult, I have rocked both a 70s vibe of the full bush and nothing there. And I remember vividly being on a Zoom call with all of you people last year and showing you that I was growing myself a landing strip for Movember.
I remember this.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And I think remember this. Twitter was delighted to hear about it. I seemed to cool.
Yes, exactly. I think that's got me to my 1,000 followers that night.
Excellent.
But I think like on it's quite nice for me to have this conversation with you ladies, because I have been taking it all off for a little while now, and I'm like, do you know what, sod that, I actually quite like seeing a bit as well. I like the last couple of women that I have had meetups with have had some hair there, and I like it. It does look great, and even if you're not choosing it for that reason, it does look great. But picking up again on what Vixen had said about not recognizing necessarily what, or not being able to describe what vulvas she'd seen. We've come at it from a different perspective because I have seen a lot. However, I'm always so delighted to be down there that I'm not going to be critiquing anyway. And I think that's very much akin to what Mr. Sprite was saying with it. It's like, whoa, it's funny.
Mr. H is silently rocking next to me from laughter. I think he's trying to contain himself, and I think he's desperate to make you a t-shirt with Clipbang. seen a lot of pussy or something like this.
I would wear that so proudly.
Thrilled to be down there.
I'm glad to hear it.
Thrilled to be down there. That's the one.
Thrilled to be we've got more stuff to cover, but I actually wanted to just segue slightly into a question for all of you. And I think I can say, with all this group that you've all born children. Is that okay to say that? Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So on the subject of we've all had children, and bearing in mind, I don't know how you all had your children, how you birthed your children, but do you think childbirth has changed A, your kind of opinion, or B, the aesthetic sort of, look of everything or anything particularly? Clipbang's got a finger on her nose. That means she wants to talk first. Surprise.
This was one of my paragraphs that I had prepared. And one of the things is that labia grow often with age and with childbirth. It does change the appearance of your genitals. And I sort of segued off onto a rant about society's preoccupation with pubescence and young people and older people being less attractive, etc., etc. But also I noticed that my vulva changed after having children, and bearing in mind I had my first child very, very young, but even so it changed the appearance of my vulva. And I think it's another of those kind of sticks that society can beat you with, like if you have stretch marks or a mum tum, or your vulva has changed from childbirth. It's another thing that they use against you as a tool to judge you. Whereas I think my vulva is just as beautiful now as it was before, even if it's different.
That's a good way of putting it.
I just need to interrupt and say, what the hell? I did not know that your bits continue growing.
This is so educational. I too did not know this, and I'm now sort of, I want to go and check. I want to go and examine.
I'm so glad I did my research.
Thanks. I do.
That's excellent information. I have no idea. So thank you.
Absolutely. And
well, do you know what? I had 2 children, and I was in my late 30s before I found out that the bit that I had been calling a vagina was actually called a vulva.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's really common. And I kind of, if we can't even name it, if we can't even teach our children / people at school or whatnot the correct terms, I think that's really disappointing. And I think it speaks like volumes as to what, we know that I would say that most people, if not all people, could name penis and testicles, right?
Mm-hmm. Probably even more than that. They could probably tell you a bit more about, the anatomy of the penis.
I mean, particularly Vixen.
Or like perineum or something.
That's a whole other conversation.
I think Secret Stag's going to test her on it later.
But, the fact we don't even know the correct term. And again, in my sort of group where I sort of asked about what people's opinions were, there's a lady who is, she's medically trained, and she says not most, I can't remember what she said, but a lot of women, adult women, believe that where they pee from isn't actually where they pee from unless something's gone horribly wrong. You know what? Okay, I'm going to put my hands up here. I look like a complete idiot, and this is going out. I'm not entirely sure where my pee comes from.
Secret Vixen's got a hand up.
No, as in I too. Well, I'm just.
Oh wow! Crap! This is getting worse.
Well, no, as in like literally before I came on this conversation, I will show you this. For those at home, I'm currently showing an anatomical picture of a vagina and vulva, etc. Because of, I genuinely as we know, I do work educating people, and I have to teach sex ed, and I've taught sex ed, and we always talk in detail about the penis, but we never, like, when we always start a lesson where we say to children, right, just throw out all of the words you know associated to male genitalia and female. And I don't think I've ever had the word vulva come up from a child. I do get vagina, I get all of the things we said at the start, minge, etc. But not once have I ever had vulva mentioned. It's just, it's yeah.
This is one of Mr. H's pet peeves, I believe. Absolutely drives him
I've
botty.
experienced this rant.
you probably have, and most of you who know Mr. H will have not only heard this, but you know he I think he's talked about it on a show before, where he's gone to great lengths to educate himself. Pre-lifestyle, you know, before, when we were just, you know, early days when we were together and we were kind of, you know, exploring our life together. He educated himself. He went away, he read books, he kind of, you know, understood what women want. And he actually took the time to go and educate himself about the female anatomy. And I think he probably even knew before I did that, you know, vulva and vagina are vastly different. And he took the time to explain to me what's what and what goes where. So actually, Secret Vixen, what you're saying is both scary and interesting.
All right.
But as an educator, you're like, let me get this right.
I mean, I'm not a biology teacher, so I mean that's my get out clause. That would be really bad.
Oh dear. Clipbang, you have your finger on your nose. So do you have something to say about vulvas?
No, I mean, I think so I echo that I think the majority of experience with friends of mine or people where I have had these sort of intimate conversations, that they are of a similar level of understanding. I was a ridiculously precocious kid, and I remember finding a book in my mum's dresser when I was about 7, which had the words copulation and vulva and all of this sort of stuff in. So I had a real good understanding of the anatomy quite early, and then I went to an all-girls school as well, and our sexual education, despite the fact it was an all-girls school, was actually really, really broad and really well balanced. So we were all taught, you know, how many holes there were and what they did and what every part was called. So I'm quite lucky in that the conversations that I have with my children, and I have 4 girls, are very clear about what everything is called. They are all completely aware of what parts of their body they have, and, you know, how to talk to me about them and how to talk about them and stuff. But yeah, I think it's really unusual to be quite so lucky to have had those not explicit conversations, because I'm not talking about anything that's inappropriate for them, but factual, I guess, unembarrassed conversations about their own bodies. Because I can tell them about their elbows. Why can't I tell them about their vulvas?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I recall, you know, years and years ago when I was in school, definitely there was never any conversation around anything other than this is a female anatomy. And it went into great detail about the biological stuff that sat behind that, you know, the sort of the ovaries, the reproductive system, that all that, you know, the stuff about how it happens. Nothing at all about sex. And actually, if you do get lucky enough to meet a girl and you get her into bed, please don't talk about her beef curtains. So, you know, I really hope that now, you know, like many years on, things have changed, but actually maybe it hasn't, you know, and maybe this is where we can't define what normal looks like, because we don't know, and there is no normal. You know, it's not. And you know, we've got a lot of thanks to people like, you know, the Great Wall of Vagina and the Vagina Museums and Vagina Monologues and all these fantastic things that are kind of out there and exist as a kind of an avenue for people to understand, feel okay, celebrate what you are, and learn to love your labia, learn to love your vulva, because everyone's different. I actually don't know if I feel any better. Ultimately, even now, I still have some hang-ups that exist. Whether that is because that poor kid years ago, you know, told me I had beef curtains and it's sat with me, I don't know. I think over the years I've probably seen a lot of imagery that, and you know, it's not sat well with me, and it's kind of still very much sat as a kind of dysmorphic body thing, where I'm I really have hang-ups. I really do. I still do. So I've got a couple more questions, I think, and I'm just checking how I'm doing for time. I think I'm doing pretty well. So here's a good question. What do you like about yours, about your own? Because this is all about maybe talking about no one has something that's normal. Everyone has something that's different. So let's talk about what do you like most about your own body? No one's got the finger on their nose, so I'm going to pick on someone.
You mean like body or like...
No, your vulva specifically.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, clip bang straight on the nose.
I have an excellent pudenda.
Tell us more. What is that?
So my ex-husband called it a muff hump, which is basically the fleshy portion above your vulva. Okay. And it is my favourite bit. As much as men are sometimes known to sit there just casually relaxed with their hand on their groin, just for comfort, I quite like that. It's very soft and fleshy, and I'm very pleased with my pudenda.
Pudenda.
Wow.
I like that.
It sounds like something you put up in the garden.
Like a gondola or a pagoda.
Yeah.
A gondola. Did you just say gondola?
I did. I meant pagoda. I'm having brain fog today. I mean a pagoda.
You're thinking of my new garden with the river.
I think Secret Vixen is frantically Googling as I speak what a pudenda is. I can only assume that's what she's doing.
She's gone off to look at pergolas now.
She's actually Googling pagodas and whether Lewis Garden Centre is.
She's pricing up an extension.
So you're very fond of your pudenda.
I am.
Secret Vixen, what have you learned from Google in the last 30 seconds?
I was just enjoying the different words. I actually know I do like a bit of lexicon. I'm like, vestibule, as I said. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Although I am also quite relieved having heard Clipbang just say that resting her hand there, because I often do when I'm watching TV, and I always thought, like, am I like a bad person for doing? Because it's nice and warm and like a pouch. And it is, and so that's comforting to know. As you can see, I am clearly the naive, ignorant one in this group.
Don't try and claim sweet and innocent.
We know you're not sweet and innocent.
I'm so sweet and innocent. I'm just thankful that it works, that I function properly down there. There we go. And even having children, it's all fine. It may have just grown slightly, though, as I've learned from this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Vanilla Ice, what do you like about yours? Your pagoda?
I feel stupid because I don't think, even knowing this, I don't think I've ever thought about it. Like, even knowing that we're going to have this conversation, the thing is, there's nothing I dislike. So therefore, I guess I have no strong feeling either way. I don't dislike it. I've never really given it a second thought. So, yeah, that sounds rubbish answer, doesn't it?
No, it's not. It's fine. And, if you like everything about yours, that's awesome. I'm really happy.
Yeah, just really fucking happy for you.
I've had close encounters with one of the other vulvas in this situation, and I thought it was excellent, just saying.
I'm frantically doing the math now.
I said one.
Which vulva?
You'd be able to work that out.
Come on then, tell us something you like about yours.
Goodness. Oh, well, I like the fact that other people seem to enjoy it. There we go. Powers of deduction have not failed me at all. I'm trying to learn to love it. Okay, I love the fact that it does work, and that's awesome. And it's, proudly birthed 2 children, actually. Mm. And it is what it is because it's achieved amazing things. And you know, I feel like actually I've had children, I've birthed them naturally. That's all happened. Awesome, more play to me. But I still have hang-ups about it. I don't think they'll ever leave me. And, you know, whether that's just because that's what the media kind of, you know, as I said, tells me what I should believe and what I see each day when I open Twitter and I scroll through and I see like a million fannies in front of me, but all look the same. I don't know. But, you know, I like the fact most that, you know, Mr. H likes it. So, you know, he's never, ever once made me feel like it's not something he enjoys. So, oh, you've all got your fingers on your noses. Actually, Secret Vixen doesn't. She does now. Okay, Clickbang, I think maybe you had your finger on your nose first.
Mine is very quick. I'm just going to prescribe something for you from my lots of research. One of the suggestions for people who are unhappy with their labia or their vulva is to watch more porn, but not the mainstream porn. Lots of queer, indie, alternative porn where they feature different body types and different people having sex, and you get to see what non-mainstream vulvas look like.
Isn't that so bad though, that you, in order to see a non sort of, as we've sort of kept saying, neat, you have to go and search out alternative porn?
I mean, I already search out alternative porn, so
hello, tentacle porn. We've done an episode on it.
But yes, yeah, that it should be mainstream, but as it's not, I prescribe you porn.
Porn. I think my phone might explode if I watch any more porn. I've completed Pornhub 3 times in lockdown, so
yeah, but Pornhub's the wrong one. We want to go further afield.
We want further afield. We want weird. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you, Clickbang. Vanilla Ice.
So, when you were talking about the fact that you'd birthed 2 humans and stuff, that made me, it sort of touched a nerve. So whilst I'm saying I have no issues, like, and I don't with what it looks like and everything, I never managed to have either of my children au naturel. They were both sunroof babies. And I really felt that my body had let me down. I really felt like I hadn't given birth. And actually, I get huge jealousy, and not just jealousy, it's not jealousy in a horrible way, but it's like, it's stronger than that. And it often makes me, like, to the point of tears sometimes, about people having great natural births, because I feel that my body let me down. Now, in actual fact, I spoke to a wise friend when I was sort of said something about, that I didn't give birth to my children. And he said, well, what's their birthday? Were they born? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, I get it. And I'm really grateful to science. You know, I'm so grateful for talent and science, because me and my children are here and we are safe. And, you know, but do I feel that my vagina let me down? Yes, I absolutely do. Is that a dog?
It is
growling.
A dog. It's a dog growling.
It's not just someone there.
It was in no way related to the point you're making.
Yeah, so and that's something that I have a hang up about. So turns out, but it's a different kind of hang up, I guess.
And I don't think you're alone at all, Vanilla Ice. You know, I think that's a fairly natural reaction for people who haven't gone through that, and it in no way makes you any less of a mother. And you know what you've achieved is miraculous and incredible. And as you say, the main focus and priorities that you delivered to healthy children, you achieved that. Your body is incredible. Like, what it did was amazing. And the fact that I've birthed them through the birth canal, I don't know, would I have felt any differently if they'd come out the sunroof? Possibly. Actually, at the time, I probably would have welcomed that.
Yeah, no, and absolutely. And do you know what? That's partly the trouble, because people say, oh, you know, I wish, or oh, it's the easy option, oh, it's the this and the that.
And some people elect for that. actually actively elect to have it that way because they don't want, the vagina and the vulva and what have you to be ruined by labour and childhood.
Secret Vixen's dog, I think, might be chewing her leg off. Or something.
She looks very cool
has a
if
lot
it
to
is.
say.
She's just run away. It's fine. Sorry.
Is that because you kicked her?
No. Oh, great. Now everyone's going to come after me and say, Secret Vixen, the dog kicker.
I mean, it's a very different moniker to what they're giving you already. But
I mean, that might be a step up from just ignorant person.
Oh, goodness me. So I think we are shortly coming up to some timekeeping issues where Mr. H is probably in the background waving his finger at me. Why did that wife stop chatting? So before I go into maybe some final little thoughts and questions, has anyone got any more pressing rants and paragraphs, clickbang, that they've written?
I think I covered all of mine, in fairness.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I had my piece.
You had your piece. How'd you say? Why do we think then that so many people opt for labiaplasty? I mean, it comes at a fairly hefty cost. It's around about £3,000 to £4,000. UK,
and there's
sterling.
lots of risks as well.
Loads of risks, absolutely.
Yeah. I have no issue with people wanting to have plastic surgery.
Mm-hmm.
My issue is with the societal pressures that make them want to have the plastic surgery. That's the thing. If it's something that you've independently chosen, it's going to make you feel better. Fucking great. But if it's the world making you think you have to have that to feel better, that's shitty as fuck.
Yeah, and it's on the rise. Absolutely, it's on the rise. I think in 2017, 2018, it was something like a 46% increase in labiaplasty alone. Granted, the pandemic has slowed things down because, it has slowed everything down, but, the staggering fact is it's still something, it's still an area of plastic surgery that is on the increase, sadly.
I'm happy to inspect a lot and tell them all that they're normal. Just send them my way. It's fine.
Should we get that added on a t-shirt?
Dr. Clickbang.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Pussy extraordinaire.
You said it again.
I said it again.
Just for
honestly,
me.
just for the reference. I'm not offended by the term. I'm really not. I just, for some reason, don't like the way it sounds when I say it. I don't know why. Very strange.
I like it a lot.
The way I say it, or just generally?
I mean, both, but particularly the way you say it was what I was referring to then.
Excellent. So, at this stage, are we allowed to invite Mr. H back into the chat?
Is he bringing his pussy?
If we must.
Well, let's bring him back in to see what he thinks.
Okay. See what I think about all the things.
There you are. How did you stay quiet for so long?
I did some really nice drawings.
Do you know what? You literally just drawn Batman for an hour. I'm not even joking. He's drawn Batman, the dog, Garfield, and a Transformer.
Aww.
This is all very true. I'll show you a picture of this.
True.
Firstly, I want to say, I think we need a T-shirt that says "I've been clip banged" on it.
You're going to have to do a big run of them.
I haven't got one yet.
You got to go through the kit inspection first. So I think that was a really fascinating chat. I think, in terms of the labiaplasty, I do wonder how much of it is to do with people who genuinely need to have it versus people, as Clipbang was saying, I think that are kind of spurred on by the media and the perception of porn and all the other sort of influences. So I think that maybe there is something in the fact that because people are more aware of it and they may be slightly more aware themselves, then maybe that's driven that up a little bit. I don't know.
Actually, can I interject here?
You can.
To say that I had a really interesting thing. I think it was on Women's Hour a few years ago, and there was a youngish woman whose labia were so extended that actually she had serious medical problems, and things like wearing swimming costumes or knickers. She had real problems, and all the stuff that came back, that stuck with me. And I just sort of thought, actually, if people found out she'd had a labiaplasty, then they'd probably be like, oh, wow, all about the design of vagina. And I think we do need to recognise that for some people, actually having longer labia is an issue, a medical issue that causes problems.
Yeah, and it can cause problems with penetrative sex as well. That was one of the things that I'd read about, that there are medical reasons for it. Yes, sometimes they're aesthetically too long, or I don't mean aesthetically, I mean for comfort too long, but also sometimes it can make it painful to have penetrative sex if they're going to get caught and things like that. So yeah, there are extremely valid reasons as well.
What I'm curious to know, though, is that in a few years' time, because things are cyclical and they come around, will people be getting labiaplasty to get them extended?
Oh my goodness, can you imagine?
Because when we were younger, well, I speak for myself, when I was younger, like everyone wanted a small butt. And now, big butt, all the rage.
Bubble butts.
Thank fuck for that.
Yeah, very happy.
Thank fuck for that.
Yeah, like you
She put fat into their butts to make them bigger, you're right.
So I was walking behind a woman the other day, and I thought, oh, something strange. And then I realised that she was in very tight leggings, and she had this amazing body. And I thought, oh, this is the first in real life butt transfer thing I've seen. There's a better word than that. But yeah, so who'd have ever thought that in the 90s that would be a thing?
True.
So, maybe longer, maybe labia extensions will be...
There we go.
Labia extensions.
They just cut a bit of your ear off, staple it down there, and away we go. Everyone's fine and dandy. The science checks out.
And then you can get the cheap aesthetic clip-ons from ASOS.
Oh my goodness.
I don't want to know what the Primani version is. I really don't.
It'd be septic in a week. Who wouldn't want it?
It'll unravel literally like a Primani jumper.
Why is my labia green?
Because you deserve it. For buying Primani. That's some poor little foreign child has been making that labia in the back of a sweatshirt.
I'm just looking at the clothes I'm wearing, and I'm going to say that out of the items of clothes I'm wearing, 4 items are Primark.
But you wouldn't buy a labia from one, would you?
I don't know. Never had one offered. Maybe I would.
A free one with every 20 quid spent now. They'll be available.
You don't get free stuff at Primark.
Mr. H, I have one question for you.
Do you?
Actually,
How exciting.
So obviously you've had a very sheltered life, prior to the lifestyle.
Yep, very
sheltered.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were with me for like freaking ages.
Yep.
Like a decade, 2 decades. So when you were allowed to go out and look at other people's fannies.
Still can't say it, can she?
No. Was your little mind blown by the fact that everyone looked a bit different?
No, because I'd done a lot of it.
Because you looked at porn.
No.
You told me you'd never looked at porn.
I'd never used to really look at porn.
Lies.
Since I've been with you, I've looked at loads. But I think because I'd done, prior to the lifestyle thing, a lot of research. And as you said, throughout the course of this conversation, I'd done a sort of, I've read a lot of books about it, just for our own sex life. So She Comes First, I think, is one that comes to mind, which goes into sort of an inordinate amount of detail about what each part is called, what it does, how it works, yada, 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 and so forth. Strangely written by a guy, which is slightly worrying, but I'm sure there's female written alternatives. So it didn't surprise me that there was a variety of them, and that, no one was the same. And I expected the same to be the case with penises as well.
I wasn't expecting to say that.
And boobs. And, we're all different. We all have different personalities and looks, and, we all have bits that we're uncomfortable with and we don't like. And we all go through, I think, a body crisis of some sort, whether it's something that we can physically change or whether it's just something that's that we just got to put up with. But what I have found actually is that the lifestyle has been really liberating for kind of going, well, actually, we're all different. And I'm reminded of when we went to Desire, and we kind of got there, and you kind of, everyone's naked as you go through the door pretty much. And we were shitting ourselves, not literally, that would have been messy, but actually after
would
about
have drawn attention to you.
Yeah, it probably would have, especially in the pool as well. It would have got everyone out, but the foam party wouldn't have been the
really
same.
Frowned on in the lobby as well.
Yeah, exactly. But after about 5-10 minutes or however long it was, actually it felt fine. Everyone was naked and everyone was different, so it was okay for us to be different. And I embraced that probably a bit quicker than you did, because I was like, well, no one's hiding anything. It's all on display, and we are what we are.
I'll be very honest. When we first landed in Desire, and obviously everyone was naked, which is very lovely, but actually my eyes were intrinsically drawn to the fact that I could see openly and on display other ladies' parts. So I couldn't help but some kind of cruel joke. I look at them and go, oh man.
Yeah, but calling yourself the clunge inspector and going up to each one with a magnifying glass was probably a little bit much.
No, but I it's almost like, when I queue for a roller coaster, I'm segue, but when I queue for a roller coaster and I look at you and you're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm Googling roller coaster deaths in the queue, because
this is 100% true.
This is 100% not a fabrication. So I'm so scared of roller coasters that when we're queuing for a roller coaster, I will Google how many people have died from roller coasters in the last year, because I'm so terrified of them. The same thing applies when I was let off the leash and I was able to be around all these naked people. The first thing I did was taunt myself by looking at how many other people's vulvas
equally
looked better than mine.
Once you're down there and exploring another lady's lady garden, as you call it, getting you out of that place is fucking impossible.
Because I like them.
I know. It's like, nom, 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 nom. All right, come on. It's been 6 days. I need to eat at some point. So
but I do enjoy them.
I know you do. No, honestly, I think there is, my mind wasn't blown, but I really love the variety of it all. And I love the fact that all these people are very different and they all bring something different to the table. But I'm a bit that way, as you know.
I do. Cool.
All right.
I think we've nattered long enough about vulvas. Do you think we've covered everything?
Do I think, have you covered everything?
Will you listen to us?
Well, I did listen to it.
Definitely won't have done. What will happen is, when we finish this, we'll go, bollocks, we should have said X, Y, Z.
No, bollocks will be next week. Really won't.
Yeah, Kitban's checking through her list.
She is, definitely. I think we've covered a lot of ground. Thank you, ladies.
Yes.
Very appreciated.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
So we'll do a bit of a round table as to where everyone can find you, if you want people to find you out on the Twitter webs and all that sort of stuff. So
if you want to be found.
Not
sure I do now.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
It's a dog kicker.
Lovely Clipbang. I dubbed Clipbang all that time ago.
You did.
I did.
That's all you.
That's all me. Where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at ms_CLT, Ms Clit, or on Field now, which is the one that I've just discovered, where there's a lot of pretty people as, again, Ms_CLT, Ms Clit, or on Fab as Sprite and Sub, and that's me and Mr. Sprite. If you're really lucky, you get both of us.
Yummy.
Okay. We can also find you betwixt some ladies' legs.
Yes, please.
Vanilla Ice, where can people find you, if you can remember?
Oh, God, you won't remember.
Yes. Just going to be great. And okay, so Twitter, Instagram, the other things.
Fab,
and the Reddit.
Oh, Reddit. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you are on Reddit.
MySpace. No.
Oh,
What's your AOL profile?
Yeah, AOL, come on.
And it is His Cock, Her Tail, so HISCOCKHERTAIL.
Lovely, thank you. Secret Vixen.
Never
she's
heard
been
of her.
Googling herself
Literally
right
never
now.
heard of her. Who is
I
she?
just had to double check the blog's address. I couldn't remember if it was .blog or .com.
Oh, good grief.
Secretvixen.blog. It definitely isn't .com. I just checked and it didn't work. So it's definitely secretvixen.blog. And you can find me at secret_vixen1.
1A. That's a shame.
It always pains me to have to say the one. Damn that fake account.
Should you mention your other half? Because he'll only be upset if you don't.
He's back in the room, so you can also for maybe the smarter comments you can go to Secret Stag. He's the smarter of the two, clearly.
Oh, bless you.
Aww.
And cleaner now. He spent 2 hours in the bath.
He's literally the colour of a tomato.
Well, I want to
too
say
hot. That's a whole nother medical thing about being too hot, people.
We want to say a massive, massive thank you to you all. It's been a real pleasure. I'm glad that I was able to be quiet for an hour to let you guys or girls
I didn't think you'd do
Well
it.
done.
through all of that stuff.
Dickers.
Yeah, thank you.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
You can be quiet.
Some great chat. If people want to get in touch and comment about this episode, please get in touch with us. We're at bedhopperssuck@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter at bedhopperssuck. Or we're on Fab and other places. People hopefully know where to find us because they're listening to this podcast. And, if we get some interesting comments, we'll share them and, we can post about them and talk about them later on. That'll be fun. But thank you, folks. It's been an absolute pleasure. Mrs. H, well done. On top of it.
What?
Yeah, well done for wrangling the unwrangable.
They were an absolute pleasure to wrangle.
Now, I think before you sign off, we just need to quickly Google gondolas so that we can have one in the back of our garden.
And pagodas.
And pagodas.
Right, okay. I'm
And
so
pecoras.
sorry. Absolutely. Gondolas do not belong in a garden centre.
That's great. All right.
I understand it's pagodas.
Good. Sign it off. Go on, do it.
Ladies, thank you for hopping into our bed.